Let us begin by saying that the difference between what can and cannot be done is merely a measure of man's determination. The reason I say this is because if we look at the condition of the world today, especially now, it is in a deplorable state. Now, when it relates to Malaysia, we had, in the 1980s, we had a vision called Vision 2020. And the purpose of this vision was that by the year 2020, we were supposed to declare ourselves a developed nation. As to what that term development meant, we were still ambiguous about it, but we had a certain kind of idea about where we were going. Now remember, this Vision 2020 was initiated by politics, by politicians. And therefore, it is fair to say that what they meant by developed status was economic growth, that we were supposed to achieve some kind of a level of economic growth that rendered us developed. Now my question is, this economic growth, and by the way, this is the only thing that politicians are concerned with, which is economic growth, nothing else. Now the reason I say this is, if we look at Malaysia today in terms of economic growth, well, we have had some measure of economic growth. We can see this by the development of buildings, by the development of structures and all this kind of things. But on the other hand, one has not really examined at what cost was this economic growth, because we have lost a substantial amount of our biodiversity. We have lost a substantial amount of our food security. We have lost a substantial amount of our water security. We have lost our environmental stability. There has been so much environmental degradation. What more, the recent events of a couple of weeks ago, where almost 1.5 million users in the Klang Valley were denied water simply because someone had polluted the water source. And for days, 1.5 million people went without water. Now, I find this to be extremely, not just irritating, but extremely sinful, because it is unheard of that a country which claims by 2020 we were supposed to be a developed nation, that we are still behaving like a banana republic. Now, this is all because, as I said earlier, politics only concerns themselves with one thing, and that is with economic growth. But at what cost? They don't care. As we said earlier, look at all the environmental degradation going on. This is all against the religion of Islam, against the religion of Christianity as well. Look at what happened to our water resources, again, against the religion. What has happened to our food security? We don't even have water security. We are talking about food security. It's ridiculous. Now, if these elected representatives who form our government refuse to listen, refuse to be consulted, refuse to consult with those who know and know they know, then what we can say is that these people are arrogant. Do we want that kind of a government? One that is arrogant, that does not listen to us, that does not listen to not only the voices of reason, but does not listen to what is happening in the environment. The fact that we have now a terrible disease which has affected mankind is a result of this environmental degradation. Now we can safely say that since the 1950s, over 6 billion tons of fish were removed from the oceans. That's how much we consumed, 6 billion tons. Now, how have we tried to sustain this? How have we tried to sustain the fish stocks? We haven't done anything. What about our water sources? Since the 1970s, our water sources have been gradually degraded, primarily because of industry, primarily because of, again, economic growth, without considering the cost. This, once again, is the fault of the government. Now, there is a systemic problem in this country. This is what I'm saying, a systemic problem, not just with corruption, because corruption takes on many forms. People nowadays seem to think that corruption has to do with bribery, with taking bribes, with giving bribes, with you scratch my back, I scratch yours. But that's not the entire meaning of corruption. There's also what we call corruption of knowledge, where the people who are not fit to be in a position of knowledge are put in positions of knowledge. This is not right. This is sinful. And it leads again to the degradation of social structure, the social fabric of this country, which is what has happened. We cannot be a country that talks about diversity in terms of race, religion, and ethnicity if at the same time we talk about a program or an agenda meant for one ethnic group alone. That is a contradiction, and that is not going to be something which will survive. We are not the kind of people who are selfish. We are not the kind of people who are ready to deprive others of what is rightfully theirs. But what we have become, unfortunately, is we have become a barbaric society. We don't care about anything. We have apathy towards the environment. We have apathy towards nature. We have absolute apathy towards biodiversity. We don't have any kind of etiquette. I mean, look at the simple example of look outside your houses. Just open your eyes. Now, during this time of the pandemic, people are supposed to wear masks, and yet we find discarded masks all over the place. Rubbish is just strewn. Malaysia now is becoming a rubbish dump, which is again one of the things that I tried to address before. One of the 4 things that I tried to address before that we should be addressing. One of which would be, where is our source of energy coming from? We cannot rely on a non-renewable source of energy forever. It's not going to last. Furthermore, what we have done with the exploitation of this energy now is we have reduced all the biodiversity in the world. If you look at the WWF's recent report, they have said that Malaysia has lost about 45% of its biodiversity, and it continues to lose at that rate every year. That is an alarming statistic. If we continue like this, we will have nothing for our future generations. Now remember, people always like to say that, we are doing this for our future. No, we are not doing this for our future. We are being selfish. We are doing this for ourselves now. We are greedy. Why don't we tell the truth and say that we are supposed to be borrowing from our future generations? Now, if you borrow from someone, are you not supposed to pay it back? Why are you not replacing what you take from the future? The other one is water. Where is our water security? Where is our water sustainability? We are not doing anything for that as far as that is concerned. We have been doing what they call rampant development. They call it development, but it's not really development, it's destruction. We've been doing that for decades without any cost, without any heed to the environmental cost. We pretend that we are doing an environmental impact analysis, but we are not. We are just going around pretending to make an environmental impact analysis. Number 3, food. We have to have food security, but without water security, how can we even talk about food security? If our water source is polluted, how do we talk about food? Remember, man can survive for a month without food, but you cannot do so without water. You'll only last a few days. So that's a ridiculous notion to think that we can have food security without water security. The 4th thing, waste. Look at what we have done with our waste. We have done nothing. On the contrary, we have made our country a wasteland. We have dumped everything on the side of the road. We don't care, out of sight, out of mind. As long as it's out of your house, your compound, you don't care what happens to it. You don't think about the cost to the environment. You don't think about the cost to the government. How much will they have to pay to clean it up? Now, this is also another form of corruption, that you don't seem to care about anything other than your own self. Now, when we are talking about the Muslims themselves, look at how deplorable the Muslims have become. They have relied heavily on the people who study fiqh. They think these are the people who bring knowledge, who bring justice. But in reality, the people who are entrusted with this from the fraternity of these fuqaha are distorting religion. They are committing shirk. They are doing partnership with Allah. When it comes to talking about haram and halal, they are all for it. This haram, that haram. There are so many harams. Look at the Quran and find for yourself. These things which they declare haram, the Quran does not say that. How is it they then can declare something which the Quran does not say is haram to be haram? Which means that they are making a partner with Allah. And that is shirk. You can't deny this. They are the ones who determine how your religion should be. That is also wrong. And it has infected the political realm. Or it could be the other way around. It could be that the political realm has infected them. Whichever way it is, it's a symbiotic relationship. Politics now tries to determine and to dictate how your religion should be. And this is wrong. As a result, what has happened? We have come up with a barbaric society, with an apathetic society, with an unethical society, with a society that has no consideration for others. We have no etiquette at all. Look at how selfish we are. When the Muslims go to pray on Friday prayers, they take 3 lanes of a road. Everybody has a big problem getting past. Huge traffic jams. People get upset. How can you think of going to pray and to serve Allah when you are making people upset? You are being selfish. That's not right. That abrogates your deed of going to the mosque to pray, because you are putting others at a great inconvenience. The same goes for the people who go to the church. On a Sunday, the roads are all packed because you simply think that the road belongs to you. You don't have any etiquette. Rubbish thrown all over the place. You roll your window down, you throw out your mask, your tissue paper, your garbage from inside your car, your fast food wrappers and your bags and everything like that. That is, not only is that unethical and immoral, you have no etiquette at all. And yet, when you come to a civilized people, a civilized society, people with a social refinement, with adab, which is what you don't have. When you come to this, you are supposed to think about others before you think about yourself. There are rules and regulations which you follow. Not like today. The biggest committers of rule breaking are the ones who are in authority and in power. I mean, if we were to talk about the environment, we can go on for hours. But I urge you, think about what you're doing. You have a choice that you can make. This is what you have. You can choose. Don't let your choice go unheard. Now, if we live in a country where we have multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multi-lingual, we have to respect one another. Don't talk about one another as if one is less than the other. That's not the right thing to do. We should not do that. And Islam does not promote that idea. Islam does not promote one over the other. Islam does not say that you are a better people simply because you are a Muslim. No, it does not say that. And yet, if you believe like that, then you are sadly mistaken. I see nowadays also about how people talk about themselves as being the Khalifa. These are Muslims talking about you being a Khalifa, a vicegerent. And yet you don't seem to understand that if you want to be a Khalifa, you first have to be a Khalifa over yourself. Take control of yourself. Take control of your bestial nature. Take control of your barbarism. Take control of your injustice. Don't simply think that you know everything. We are not going to please everyone all of the time. There's bound to be somebody who's upset with what I'm saying. This is just like the story of Juha. You're not going to please everyone all of the time. You can please some people some of the time. But the reality of the matter is, if you think that what I'm saying is not true, then open your eyes. And if you think that I'm wrong, please inform me. Thank you.